How's it going, friends? And welcome back. And if you haven't already done so, I want to encourage you to subscribe and to follow along as we're going deep into these conversations along with my friend and co-host, Nick. And today it's actually a conversation that I've been wanting to have with Nick for so long because, I've traveled with you and we've gone through many countries and I've worked behind the scenes also just building also just your content and your media and social media. And this one of the ideas and things that keeps coming up is this idea of resilience. And many of you have asked Nick throughout the years, like, how do you do this? How do you stay strong? How do you stay positive? And today we're going to pull back the curtain and we're going to go deep on this subject of resilience and really find out where those heavy hitter phrases that you have that and where were they birthed? How do they come about? And because I want to say for the people that are joining us that many of you have probably said and have asked, because I know I've been asked by friends and people who know that I've worked with Nick, is like, is that real? Is he real? Is he the real deal? And I got to tell you really honestly, he is the real deal.
I'm real. I'm real.
In the flesh right here.
What you see is what you get.
And what he says is what it is. That's what I've experienced. That's what I've seen in 12 years is what you share on the stage is who you are off the stage.
Right.
And that goes for better or for worse. And what I mean is that there's good days, there's bad days, but that resilience is still there, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited that we get to go deep on this conversation.
Me too.
But before I ask you these deeper questions, let's just start by defining in your words, in your heart, like, what is resilience and why does it even matter? Why should anybody even care about it?
You know, I love this topic. So many people, they come up to me and they say, I saw your video, I read your book, you came to my school, I was in that stadium of 110,000 people. I'll never be the same again. And that never gets old. I feel like I get a wild card cheat in my life because I have, I think, the greatest job of all, where I get to impart seeds of hope, love, joy, faith. And when one person is inspired, that's the greatest of all. So how do we make that positive difference in people's lives is that messaging of resilience, because no matter who you are, no matter what you have, no matter what you don't have, whether you think of yourself in a positive light or a negative light, there are so many psychological, mental wars that we have to have within ourselves. There's so much to unpack here, but it really starts with you giving yourself a chance, you accepting what you can't change, challenging yourself in a good, positive way to change what you can, but also knowing the motive behind it. It's really interesting when I want to come from a different angle here first. Why do you want to be resilient? Why do you want to be successful? Right? Yeah. Like I think you start with the why.
That's good.
And so I've never had a conversation like this, so this is really cool. And thank you for being my co-host here. This is really cool.
I mean, to me, it's just like a master class.
Yeah,
honestly, because
basically,
we get to go deeper on the conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually don't really get to talk about the why.
Yeah,
about resilience. Actually, is just interesting because so many people have a different motive. So many people don't want to fail at something. Like, let's say it's something. Not necessarily will I give up or not give up on my life. That's a different thing. But first and foremost, when we talk about goals, when we talk about vocation, when we talk about whatever it is, there's sometimes subliminal, subconscious reasons, and even conscious at the front of your brain, thoughts of, well, I can't fail because I don't want to be known by my peers, by my friends, by my colleagues, my family as the failure. If you're trying not to give up because of your fear of rejection, you need to go back to the truth of your identity, the truth of your value. So first and foremost, I want to go back to the core of who is Nick. Well, Nick is not dependent on what the world thinks about him. I don't see failure as a conclusion of my life. failure in my life as a human being with human feelings, and knowing that I'm not a perfect husband, I'm not a perfect father, I'm not a perfect employer, I'm not a perfect whatever. Failure, though, is when you embrace the truth of three things: your value, your purpose, and wanting to reach your full potential. My motive is because I know whose I am. I'm created in the image of God. God has a plan for me and a purpose for me. And my full potential is, I don't know what he has, but I want to make today's step in making the world a better place and reaching the full potential of his plan, not my plan.
Yeah.
When one door shuts, another door opens, or you pounce through the window, whatever. Like, what's interesting is when you do know that truth, though, it's not based on fear of what people think of you or rejection, which also then means success. Success as well as a motive. Why be successful? Is it because I want attention? Is it because I need affirmation?
Right.
My own affirmation depends on what the world thinks of me. When we actually in human nature look at each other in the eyes, there's always thoughts. There's always something going on in your brain. When I look at you, when you look at me, when you look at a stranger or not, and they look at you or don't look at you, and it's just, Christine Grimm, she always said, two humans can't look at each other without some kind of reaction, intangible. And so what about, though, when you look yourself in the mirror? What do you see? What do you hear? No one's speaking to you. You're speaking to yourself. Right. You're letting those thoughts speak to you. So whether it's failure or success, I need to be successful because that's the way I'm going to make money. Okay, then money then makes me happy, makes me secure, makes me the provider that I feel like I need to be. Whether it's a failure of not being a provider or being known out there as a successful provider, again, it's not a third-party affirmation. You need first and foremost to know the truth. You loving yourself in a humble way to know that I'm nothing except an empty vessel blessed with life, with opportunity. Tomorrow's not promised. And so when you realize that your time here on earth is borrowed and we can make eternal differences, that whole perspective changes. Where I know that at school, whether I gave up or not, whether I was successful or not, let's go back to my childhood. I wasn't born with resilience.
Yeah.
I was born with being quick to cry, being quick to complain, being quick to be tempted to feel better about myself if someone likes me, or feel worse about myself if someone doesn't like me or bullies me. And that resilience starts as a child. And then you realize that the game is really in your mind.
Yeah. Definitely.
Where that never goes away. That game, that war, whatever you want to call it, that never goes away. You'll always be in want. You'll always be in need. There is always something you're going to need, something that your family needs, that responsibility. When I'm not even talking about unexpected circumstances or people or whatever. I'm talking about just life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many motivational speakers and coaches will never tell you this. I'm going to tell you, 3 out of 4 days, 3 out of 5, let's say, 3 out of 5 days suck. Okay? Like I'm 42, I'm telling you, that's basically what life's all about, right? So parents, just give yourself a checkup and prepare your kids for life. Don't give them everything they want, when they want, how they want it. They'll never be thankful for anything. They'll be spoiled brats. They won't have the attitude of gratitude. And then prepare them to say, 3 out of the 5 years of your life actually sucks. It's true. You'll always have challenges. When on that level, life isn't excellent. Most of the time, it's not. That's what I'm trying to say. In other words, if you're looking for a smooth life, then this ain't gonna really be a reality for you. For you to though understand that failure is part of the journey. Failure is adopted as your classroom. Success doesn't define you, nor should money give you the happiness and joy and accolades of this world. Who cares about what the world says about you? You got to remain humble, understanding that we're here for a quick 90 years. Some of us get less than that.
Right.
What do we think of us really then helps us to understand that when we look at ourselves in the mirror, 90% of the time you're thinking of something negative, period. I don't care who you are. There's always something negative. I need more money. You finally get the money. I need to protect myself now with life insurance, key insurance, and make sure that no one steals. Like, it's just amazing. There's always going to be something. And so you can either choose to not check yourself or check yourself. And then checking yourself, what do you do with those negative thoughts? And so before we get into resilience about giving up or not giving up, whether it's in a goal or just life itself, I wanted to start with the why.
That's so good.
There's not another you. There's just not another you. There's not another you. There's not another me. There's not another you. You're irreplaceable. I don't believe in reincarnation whatsoever. It doesn't make sense. I mean, how can you find my fingerprints from last lifetime and the lessons of last lifetime? It doesn't make sense to me, and I love you all. And understanding the philosophical way of life as a Judeo-Christian aligned Christian, believing the Bible as it is, I just want everyone to know that you're irreplaceable, and I love you, and God loves you, and you're not a mistake, and you're not an accident. And, I was the 10-year-old that tried to drown in my bathtub, with 6 inches of water, feeling like I was a burden, feeling like I am a failure, feeling like I don't have the strength to go on. I can't talk about resilience. I wanted to give up. I ran out of any inkling to believe that there was anything more to live for, and I'm sure we'll get into that later. But you need to start with the why.
Yeah, so good. I mean, there's so much there, because one of the things you said, I think, reminded me of this, like, it's a funny but very deep quote that somebody gave me in my 20s about 20 years ago. It's like, life is tough, then you die.
Yes.
And I'm like, it sounds very pessimistic, and it's like, that's not very encouraging, but it's still true. Like, there's some truth behind that, some heavy truth behind that. But
I'm going to add just 2 sentences in there. Yesterday I had a phone call with someone. I don't remember who it was. And they're like, it's funny, because we're at different T intersections of my life, and I'm signing contracts left and right. It's really fun. It's awesome. But it's funny because I don't even remember who it was. Yes, it was just yesterday, and it was on the way to the studio here. And he says to me, it's either pain with no gain, or pain with gain. It's either if you give up, all you got is pain. But if you don't give up, you got pain with some gain. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'd rather that one.
Yeah, the pain with gain.
Pain with gain than pain with nothing.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool.
That's good. So one of the things you said reminded me just like of this passage in James chapter 4, where it says that we don't have because we don't ask, and when we ask, we ask with the wrong motive, and that's what you're getting at, is the motive behind it. What's the heart behind it? What do we want on the other side? But one of the quotes I think that would be a good segue into the first question I have for you is, like, you said right now, which I've never heard you say this, and I think it was very deep, and I don't want anybody who's listening to miss it, is that you said that failure is not the conclusion of your life. Because I think anybody can think that if you're born without limbs, that's it. You're done. Like, you got nothing to live for. Like, it's over. But I have a quote here because I've heard you say this many times, and I think I want to ask you to unpack it. You've said that being born without limbs is actually something that you're grateful for, and I've heard you say that. So help us unpack, like, what was those moments that helped change that perspective for you? Because I think that's going to help us go deeper into your why.
Yeah.
Like, what's your why? Like, how did it go from being born without limbs and realizing, oh, I'm one of many people across the world or let's just bring it into your home, who has no limbs, and how did that change now to, like, okay, this is who I am, and I'm going to embrace it. And now, how does that? Where did that change? What was those moments? And if I don't know if there's is like a moment where it just clicked in you and you just felt like, man, this is it.
Yeah. Look, so much to unpack here. As I've traveled 84 countries, spoken on 3,500 stages, 11 million people, hugging more than 500,000 people. I hugged so many people, my arms fell off. And I mean, you were there with me backstage, 26 countries together, and seeing all these stories and stories that you just can't get out of your brain.
Right.
That sometimes they're in there forever, sometimes they just last a long time. And as I've traveled, there was one plane ride on my way to Colombia in South America. I asked God, I said, God, what are all the ways that a human being can suffer? And I didn't stop writing on my phone with my little toe until I hit 103 different ways in how the human being can suffer. The next 6 months came up with 3 more. And what's interesting is the commonality is the same emotion. So there's 106 different ways in how the human being can suffer. So let me share this with you. I always share with young people, I believe it's worse being in a broken home than having no arms and no legs. When you look at the statistics of pain, okay, so 25% of those in the world who are behind jail bars, incarcerated, in the world population, 25% of them are in the USA. 85% of these people behind prison bars in America actually came out of the foster care system.
Wow.
So you've got the pain of not identity, purpose, hope, role models, displacement, vulnerability to do things that otherwise they probably would not have done, making choices that then puts them behind jail and prison bars. And then when you look at that repetitious cycle of getting out and then going back in and then getting back out and going back in, it's something that then becomes familiar to them. They actually do what they felt like they could do and do it again and again, because at least they felt a little bit even more safe and identifiable in jail. It's amazing. It's sad that we have 500,000 churches and we can't pick up 500,000 foster kids and adopting kids waiting on a waiting list. It doesn't make sense to me. Shame on us Christians. Shame on us. Shame on us Christians. No wonder no people are coming to Jesus Christ because of us. But I just want you to know that when you look at the root of things and you look at, like at nickvministries.org, we've chosen 12 different ways in how the human being can suffer. We talk about the human trafficking, the addicted, the abused. I mean, let's talk about sexual abuse for a second, okay? 1 in 3 girls in America up to age 17 have been sexually abused by the age of 17. 1 out of 5 boys in America have been sexually abused by age 17.
Wow.
By age 17, okay? So, and it's normally done by someone in your close circle, your cousin, your uncle, your whatever, right? A friend. And there's a lot of dark, deep here, but what I want to say is this, is the reason why we feel like we're giving up. There's a word that I would say is overcome. I am overcome with the feelings and the thoughts that I've been positioned to feel and think because of my life. And my life is based on what I think about my life and what is real about my life, which is normal to then be a human being with human feelings and human thoughts. Why wouldn't I feel less of a human being if I was born without limbs and everyone has arms and legs? Why wouldn't I have a fear of rejection and trying to do all that I can to be accepted by my abusive husband if I was verbally abused by my father at age 9, which I never got counseling and healing from? And so these are the things of pain. Pain brings thoughts of feeling overcome. And as a child, I was overcome by my thoughts and feelings of fear of failure, fear of rejection, the experiences of failure, experiences of rejection, fear of the future. If there is no light at the end of the tunnel, and that tunnel seems eternal, then why not give up now? If I have the choice to give up or not give up, what does that look like? Let's talk about it. Okay, I convinced myself based on what I saw, imagined, thought, and envisioned. What I imagined, what I saw, what I thought, what I imagined. That then equates to a feeling and a decision based on that feeling. So that's how we're made. We can't change necessarily our first thought. You can't change how you feel. You're a human being with human feelings. It's then at that point, what do you do with that feeling and that thought? Do you nurture that thought?
Right.
Do you let that linger? Do you listen to music that encourages that? Or do you put on music that discourages that? Do you read books that encourage you, watch movies that encourage you? Or do you just do what you do through life to just put that aside? Well, the thoughts and feelings of feeling overcome can only be buried for so long.
Right.
Eventually, that's going to come up when you least expect it and come out of you as an expression of the overflow of the heart when you least want it.
Yeah.
In the least way possible that you felt that would happen. That's why people go to addictions.
Yeah.
That's why people go to self-harm. That's why people go to alcohol, drugs.
It's all self-medication.
It's all self-medication.
Soothe those pains
The pain.
on the inside.
Exactly. So what we need to know, so first and foremost, second shame to the church, we don't talk about this. We don't talk about depression. We don't talk about anxiety. We don't talk about PTSD. We don't talk about sexual abuse. We don't talk about this stuff. And so to really have a relationship, a friendship with someone who encourages you, who prays for you, who asks you, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Whether that's even in marriage, like we're so prone to consumerism mentality of, I go to church, I'm a Christian, that's my identity, I'm a Catholic, I'm Orthodox, my parents are Christian, this is just who I am. No, what does your faith mean to you when your heart is broken?
Yeah.
Bleeding. And so for me, you first go to friends, you first go to solutions, you hope for a better day. Well, if your friends can't help you, if your family can't help you, and there's no brighter day ahead, now you're in a dark place. The last stop for feeling and thoughts of being overcome, which then you have a choice of self-medication to numb, that's when you realize, well, what will I choose today? Will I choose life? Will I do something different? Will I conclude that I'm a victim, playing that victim card, can't do anything, there's nothing good? That's where I came to. I concluded, based on that current feeling, current envision, current imagination of what's ahead, my parents couldn't help me, a vocation couldn't help me, no one could heal my heart. You isolate yourself. And that's the last chapter before you end your life.
Yeah.
It's that isolation. Isolation. So imagine 106 different ways in how the human being can suffer. It's not 106 different emotions. It's less. Many of these painful, unfortunate, very sad things that have happened to us consolidate down to about 40 emotions. Those 40 emotions then are in the thoughts and feelings, which then you break it down to, you either numb it and you isolate, and you either do what you can to get out of it, get counseling, get healed, talk through it, realize that when you don't get a miracle, you can still be a miracle, or you set yourself up in isolation enough to then check out. So for me, I was isolated, depressed, crippled with all these emotions, and no pain is bigger than another. Don't believe. So many people, Gus, think that I'm going through more than them. No, I'm not.
Right.
Pain is pain, brokenness is brokenness.
Right.
Don't compare well, at least I, don't have arms and legs. No, you were raped. Well, at least I'm not human trafficked. That was sold by their mother at 4 years old for $700, victims that I've met. And then what are they going to say? Well, at least I'll come back in my next life. Doesn't make sense to me, guys. You can't compare brokenness to feel better. Hope is hope. Hope, true hope.
Because that comparison is what you're saying in turn, false hope.
It's almost like just a self-medication numbing process as well. Well, at least I'm not. Well, that doesn't help anything. And what's beautiful about God is He can take the human trafficked person and heal them and redeem them and set them free and give them a job to actually save up money to go back and pay the debt of another slave. And I've met them too. Like, I've seen the worst. I've seen death, traffic, everything you name it, just about. I've seen it. I've been there to talk to people, interview them. So hope is there. But for me, I had to believe. The number one thing when you feel overcome is actually to believe again today, to believe for the next hour. And one of those ways that it's not just when I was a child. I've had 4 or 5 times of my life where I felt depressed, felt like this is too much for me.
Yeah.
Taking 1/2 a day at a time.
And that had nothing to do with having no arms, no legs.
Nothing.
This is what you're talking about, that it's not any different than somebody who does have arms and legs. It's like,
so I'm the same guy.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm resilient. And I'm the dude that talks about resiliency. And my last depression was 2020, 2021. Last time I went through counseling was 2021. Nothing to do with my disability. That to prove that I'm not more stronger than you. I'm not different than you. It's not about the circumstance. It's about the feelings based on what's happening. But going back to the childhood of mine, at age 8, I knew for 2 years that I had no limbs, but it was the first 2 years of my life between ages 6 and 8 that I thought it was a problem. And that was because of the experiences of bullying, feeling different. Thank God for my mom, who's on our No Limbs, No Limits film coming out 25th of September 2026. Thank you, Mum, for being on camera for that incredible documentary film. And my mom was, my hero. My dad, I miss him very much. But they were always, we love you, you're beautiful, God bless you, God's got a plan for you, you're beautiful, you're special. Like, I don't want to be special, I just want to be like everyone else. I want to be able to ride a bike, I want to be able to throw a football, whatever, right? No one had answers for me, no one could comfort me. And so at age 8, I started contemplating suicide. And nickvministries.org, we've actually talked about suicidal thoughts and videos there, check it out. But I want everyone to know that we all sometimes come to this point of feeling overwhelmed, overcome. And that choice of, well, maybe I should just give up. If I'm going to be bullied for the rest of my life, if I'm going to feel weird, I'm called an alien at school.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, like a freak. Like it's not like I woke up one day and I looked at myself in the mirror and said, oh, what happened, right? Kids come up to me and they ask me what happened. I say cigarettes.
So it wasn't cigarettes.
It wasn't cigarettes, no.
So there you have it, folks.
So that's the truth. No more fake news. And I'd even forget that I had no limbs. I go to a playground. I just want to watch. And then I remember I have no limbs because they're all looking at me. And they stop playing. They come up to me and call me a freak. I just walk away. And even to the point at school, we should talk about bullying one of these days too.
Yeah.
I'd actually, during school, in elementary school, I would pretend that I'm looking for things just for fun. And I'm in the garden, hiding from everyone. I don't want to be seen. I want to believe. I want people to believe. Oh, Nick's somewhere. He's having, No, he's actually like hiding from everyone. I hid. If I'm, a kid, just like any other kid, what do you say if you're me when someone comes up to you and asks you the most frequently asked question? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
What am I going to be? I don't know what I'm going to be. Wait, everyone has a job. Wait, the teachers are here not for fun. They get paid. Wait, I need a job. Wait, for what? For money. For what? To get a house. Wait a second. I know people that died. My cousin at 27 years of age, he died of cancer, Roy. I remembered that. I was at his funeral. People die.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a pastor. We went to many funerals. People die. Wait, mom and dad are going to die. Wait a second. If mom and dad die, then I'm going to burden my brother. I don't want to do that to him.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I should be independent kind of thing until the end of college. And at age 8, I'll never forget, I was in my bedroom. My brother and I, we shared rooms. And I was 8. He was probably 6. And I said, Aaron, I think I'm going to kill myself at age 21. And he said, he didn't even know what to say.
Wow.
And he said, that's it, I'm going to tell Dad. And he goes to tell Dad, and my dad comes in, sits on my bed and strokes my hair and puts his fingers through my hair, and he says, what's this that you want to kill yourself? And I said, yeah, I'm going to kill myself at 21. I said, who's going to look after me when you and Mum are gone?
Mm.
And he said, don't worry, we don't know. But God does. God has a plan. Don't give up. We love you. Just don't think about that. And that comfort at that point, then I knew we had that conversation. And I knew if we ever had that conversation, he'd say the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for a moment, it was helpful. But I started planning on how to kill myself anyway. And so I thought I could just get on the kitchen counter. I used to watch my mom cook. It was therapeutic almost, just watching her cut the vegetables. I loved it.
That's awesome.
And I just spent time with my mom and just shut up and just watch and just be with my mom on the kitchen counter. I had good balance and stuff, but I'm like, well, maybe I could just jump and snap my neck, go head first and just kill myself that way. And then I remembered, well, Johnny Erickson Tata, hero of the faith, hey Johnny, Ken, love you guys. She had a diving accident as a teenager and became a quadriplegic. I'm like, I don't want to be paralyzed. I mean, at least I can move. But imagine then they're going to ask me, why did you jump? Like, they know I'm going to jump. I'm not going to fall.
Right.
Now all of a sudden I can't do at least what I can do today. I just want to get it done. It's like, well, maybe I can just drown myself. And so since age 8, I've had chronic back pain. I got a scoliosis and left foot, no right foot, center point of gravity shifted to the left, 55-degree curve. So my left side of my rib cage is twice as big as my right. It's just evolved that way. And then the muscles are more needed on the left to keep me. So I used to have warm baths to soak 15, 20 minutes. It would relieve the pain. And so I'm like, I'm just going to tell him I'm going to go in the bathtub and soak. And my dad filled up the bath, warm water, 6 inches, 15 centimeters. I said, give me 15 minutes, 20 minutes. He shut the door. And I watched him as he shut the door. I'm like, that's it.
And that was normal. Like your dad walking out, leaving you alone. That was normal. That was...
They knew I could float. He taught me how to float at age 18 months. I don't remember it, but he put it. So I have half the body mass, but big lungs, normal lungs. And so I was buoyant. You can't sink me. unless you make me laugh, I start sinking, and that's not so funny. So I was a really avid swimmer, and 6 inches of water, I can just at least put my shoulder up and get up, no problem. But it was enough water for me to drown myself in, and I started turning over and thinking, wait, how do I drown myself? And so I choked a couple times, and the first 2 times I was coughing, and then I'm like, that's it. Like, I was so angry, like, Nick, just get it done. I was shouting at myself in my brain, just get it done, just go, just breathe and cough underwater. And by the time you cough underwater and you choke, just let it in and you'll be done and the pain's over. And the 3rd time I rolled over, my brain went to a quick thought where it's like, well, how, if I did go through this, when I do go through this, what does that mean for my parents? And all of a sudden I saw a visual in my mind of seeing my mum, my dad, my brother and my sister crying at my grave, wishing they could have done something more. Mm-hmm. And I realized at that moment, they did nothing but love on me. They did nothing but encourage me. They didn't deserve this burden. I know I didn't. And that's when I realized at that moment, parents, listen very carefully. Be adamantly persistent in planting seeds of love and hope and affirmation, not just in word, but in deed. Meet them halfway, wherever they're at, whether they're a teenager thinking that they know way more than you or not. Build that bridge halfway. Play the games that they want to play on video games, Uno. Take them for a walk. Let's go for a drive. Take them out on a daddy-daughter date, mummy date, whatever. Have that time, quality time, to let them know that you're actually trying to do everything you can to make them friends of yours.
So good.
Yeah, you're not just a mother, you're not just a father, you're a friend. My mom and dad were a friend of mine, and they did that persistently. And it were those seeds that then concluded in my brain, wait a second, I love them more than I hate my pain. I'll say it again. I love them more than I hate my pain.
That's the first time I've heard you say it that way.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that story, and you're adding so much context now.
Yeah.
But that sentence specifically.
Yeah. I came up with it like 6 months ago. Yeah.
But it's been true. It's just
it's just another way to say it.
The reality of it just came out in different language.
Yeah, exactly. And so how do you process that? But so many people don't have a loving home. Right. Some of them want to kill themselves because of their home.
Right.
And so it's not all fully relatable, but what can we relate to? The brokenness, the isolation, the depression, the feeling like the tunnel's forever. I'll never get married. Even if I got married, I can't even hold my wife's hand. Even if I had kids, can't hold my kids when they're crying. I don't need to hold my wife's hand. I just need to hold her heart. My oldest son, Kiyoshi, I think he was 7. And he's on the floor with me. We're in the kitchen. My wife's there and preparing the meal. And he said, Daddy, I wish you had hands. I said, why is that? He said, I wish I could feel how it is to be hugged by you. And I was like, wow. And he said, but don't worry. I'm just going to hug you longer and stronger so you can feel my hug. And, it's amazing the miracles that can come from broken pieces. And that's what we need to believe. This is the crux of the decision. Do you believe in a miracle? Do you believe in a miracle? Do you believe that if there is a miracle, that it's okay that you don't see that right now?
Yeah.
I still have pairs of shoes in my closet in case God gives me arms and legs. You see it in the foyer. I have Texan boots.
Yep. And I've seen your shoes.
And you've seen my shoes. And there's a beautiful story behind all that. Do I still pray for arms and legs? I do. Have I seen blind people seeing, deaf people hearing, lame people walking, crooked backs come straight? Yeah, I have. I've seen miracles. I've seen the spiritual realm. So much to share, but back then I didn't. And so I didn't go through with the suicide. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone until 21. In fact, I didn't tell my parents at all.
Wow.
I was the first time on 60 Minutes in Australia, and I shared it there.
So 11 years later, which wouldn't be a question I was going to ask, because that happened. That's so much, because you had all those thoughts from age 8 to 10, and that's a lot for an 8, 9, and 10-year-old.
A lot.
To try to even make sense of that.
Right.
And then you actually try it. But then from you actually sharing with your family.
Correct.
And not to mention all the thought process that as you're in the tub, everything that's going through your mind, the pictures of your family at your funeral or in your grave, and 11 years later, you finally brought it out to the light that this is something that I tried.
Yep.
Wow.
It was like, oh shoot, I didn't tell my parents, and I told everyone in Australia on TV. And my mum's like, "What's this that you're trying to commit suicide?" That's how it came up in conversation.
I mean, but that's
so
which is crazy
crazy.
because that's also like a full circle moment, because you had said to your brother at 21,
"Oh yeah, I didn't think about that."
Life. And
there you go.
21,
it's true.
You're giving a witness, a testimony that I tried it actually, but now you're not. You're in the public eye, and you're sharing your story.
And I think I was 21 on 60 Minutes, somewhere there in the early 20s. But that's exactly how it happened. And I was like, well, why didn't you share it? I'm like, well, I didn't want to make you feel more burdened, you know? I didn't even share it at my testimony when I gave my confession of faith and given my life to Jesus Christ and getting baptized at age 19. I didn't even share it there in that depth. I didn't also, guess I just didn't want my parents to know how much pain I was going through and them feeling hopeless or helpless in that. But anyway, that was the depth of that. But again, that was not my only lowest point. I had a low point in 2002. There was something that happened to me about a person who didn't give a blessing about something. And 2003, 03, 4, 5, 6, 7, I never had closure about it. And for 10 years, I carried something that after that. So it's 6 years plus 10. So 16-year rock around my neck that really also wasn't really exposed to myself until I went through difficult things again in 2019, 2020, 2021, which then again the circumstance brought thoughts and feelings, which then, okay, isolation. No, I don't want to be isolated. I'm going to get counseling.
Right.
I was still doing a Bible study, and my Bible study, I mean, you can go to church and hide anything in your pants. You can go to a Bible study and hide anything in your pants. But I was transparent with my Bible study friends, and they're like, hey, you might want to look into getting counseling. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I should talk to someone about what just happened. And out of all the things that I could ever talk about, the counselor says, what do you want to talk about? I want to talk about 2002. Okay. And it was beautiful, Gus. Just very beautiful how God made us. Tell me what happened. I said, what happened? I'm so sorry that happened. What else happened? Went into 2003. 6 hours, 1 hour sessions, 6 weeks in a row, just to talk about this one guy that hurt me very bad. 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07. It was just a hindrance in my life and a burden. And never talked to anybody really about it. People knew about it, but never. What else happened? Okay. How'd that make you feel? No one asked me that question. I never got to express how it made me feel. And what was beautiful was as I verbalized what was deep, deep, deep down that I didn't even realize was there still, was unforgiveness and all those feelings that I carried as a disability. I mean, I'm already crippled enough, like why carry unforgiveness as well, right? And all of that. And the past is the past. You can't change the past. You can't change nothing. You can't change anybody. What can you change? Well, it's about how I feel. And I realized just as I was verbalizing that, it made me feel better. And it was like the first time after 10 years that my parents knew about it. And I went up to my parents and told them, hey, I finally forgave that person. And then years after that, he finally said sorry.
Wow.
And what was beautiful was I needed to hear a confession out of his mouth, but at the same time, I already forgave him, which was so interesting. He was convicted to come to me after that many years. It was bad. What I realized 10 years after that, and after the counseling, I could finally forgive him, was the fact that, it was actually probably more than 10 years, maybe 12 years before I could forgive him. I realized that whether or not someone is sorry, you still have to choose to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And then only you know if you truly forgave or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think we forgave and we actually didn't forgive. Yeah. I knew I didn't forgive him. But there are so many times where we try to forgive and I actually haven't forgiven you. What's beautiful is unforgiveness doesn't have to be on your shoulder like a monkey on your back. And it's better to get that monkey off. In the end, you still come to that T intersection whether they're sorry or not. You still have to choose to forgive sincerely. And because I know how much Jesus forgave me of all of my sin, when you know the forgiveness of our Heavenly Father because of Jesus' blood on the cross and rose again, who am I not to forgive others? And that parable of someone, paraphrasing, but if someone else has forgiven me of my debt of $1 million, who am I not to forgive someone else of $1? So that's the whole paradigm of understanding the true forgiveness of God as a Christian. Where if I actually withhold forgiveness to you, I actually haven't really understood the revelation of the forgiveness of God for all of my sins, period. So in that, there's a lot there.
Yeah, definitely.
But just on that, like that whole point of resilience, I want to say, I think I said it many, many times. The higher highs get higher and the lower lows get lower, and that stretch is your faith and confidence and maturity as a faith-filled human being who continues to fail along the way, but understanding that I'm just going to get through today. And when I was at my worst, all I could do, two things. I got a Sharpie in my bedroom. I wrote with my mouth. I know I can't do it without God, right, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I put on my wall, you stupid idiot. Don't get out of your bed until you pray. That's what I did.
What age was this that you did?
This was here in America. We just found the raw footage on that.
Really?
Yeah. This is early. I think it was around 2006, 2007.
Wow.
Yeah, in Westlake Village, we're renting and rental. A whole paragraph. We should actually get that footage up for this one. And then the other thing that I did at that time when I was going through a lot of difficulty was Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and saying it out loud. And so that was at the lowest low. And then lastly, it was during COVID, Gus, that I realized how important true friends are. A lot of friends, they never checked up on me. They didn't. They just didn't. Everyone's trying to survive and no one checked on me. But I chose two friends that I would have a two-way street. That's when you realize who your friends are and who acquaintances are and who says they're your friend but they're not. It's very interesting. And what's so cool was I chose Steve Nenadov, my third cousin who's like my brother, Brian Benefield, who's a dear friend of mine, and we alternated calls every second week to just check in with each other. So I'd call Brian, I'd call Steve, and just not necessarily talk about whatever is really going on, but just how are you? You're right. You know, how you doing? And it was a difficult time. People really don't know what happened in 2019, 2020, 2021. And it's those anchors that, you know, I had friends and brotherhood and camaraderie that I could be. I'm always myself in front of my wife, but I could have a different level of conversation and depth that's different than my wife in depth. Like, I can only have conversations with my wife that's obviously different than anybody else there
For sure.
in the world. But having that consistency, kind of, okay, we're going to get out. And lastly, I think what was beautiful is you realize how important short-term goals are. I'm telling you now, when you don't know what an anxiety attack is, because you haven't experienced it, then you don't understand. And I had anxiety attacks 30 days straight, 2021. And I had anxiety attacks January 2011, another time of depression. I had my own financial crisis. Very, very interesting. 4 variables, very unforeseen, very uncertain times in many aspects. But it was 3 weeks into my fresh relationship with my wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. And I gave her a call and I said, honey, I lost all my money. Not a good thing to tell your 3-week-old girlfriend. She said, it's okay. I'll get a nursing job and support the both of us. And that's when I knew she was going to be my wife. Then I knew that I knew. But in that anxiety attack, it's like you're not even awake. You're half awake. You're half asleep.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
Every morning. 30 days. I couldn't eat. I couldn't choose what to wear. I was in my home for 45 days straight. The first day that I got out of my house, I looked out the backyard. I went outside for the first time after 45 days. And I was just looking at the cherry blossoming tree.
Yeah.
I'm like, how beautiful is that? Like, I was like a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Just like, wow, look at that tree. And I was like, whoa. It's 2011. Okay, I was, 30 years old, late 20s.
It was 2 years before I met
2011,
you.
yeah. And so, I was, 25, 26 years old. Like, wow. So why am I sharing this with you? To know that no one is immune from the thought of giving up, thoughts of giving up, feelings of overcome. But we all go through that same filtering process. And I think it's less about the what and and what's more important is the why to not give up and the how. And that's sometimes just something that life teaches you along the way that we always say, I'd like to learn from other people's experiences. Yeah, sure. 90% of your life lessons are from your life experiences. They hurt more, but you remember them longer. And then half of those lessons you relearn.
I mean, they produce a different person in you.
And that's
someone else's struggles won't.
So going back to your very first question, how did you build it? It's all of that. It's life, ups and downs.
Yeah.
And learning through that.
So that's the context too. There's ups and downs and ups and downs.
There's ups and downs.
It's safe to say that we're going to have more parts to this one because that was just one question.
I think that's one part of maybe 4. I think you're right.
But you've said so much that I'm just like, personally, again, like I'm telling you, like having been with you 12 years and hear a lot of the stage things. I've been at dozens of your talks. You know, I actually sit in there and not just in the back, and getting all this context now. And I'm like, it's like, oh, that's that, and it's like, and so to me, it's beautiful. I'm hearing like the missing pieces to the story, and I think, and if anybody who's tracked alongside your story for all these years can also just see where all these things are coming into play. But like, so one of the things that you were saying, it was just like beautiful because I'm thinking of your dad. I met your dad, and it was a great man. And now me being a dad, I'm also thinking like, that's why I asked you the bathroom question. I was like, what would it have been like to be your dad at that point, even knowing or even thinking this is a possibility right now, because one of the things I constantly do with my children, I ask them, how's your heart? How's your heart today? And then one of the things I constantly do, so that's one of the main questions I ask. One of the things I constantly do is repent and ask for forgiveness. Because I've realized, and I'm sure you know this, is that if for me on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say an 8 is getting angry. But my kids, because they're small and their hearts are more sensitive and more just attentive, a 2 isn't angry.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you know this, but I've invited my children to tell me, my son Judah, I was like, hey, when you feel that I'm in a place of getting frustrated or angry, tell me. So you have permission to tell me, to stop me.
That's awesome.
And I was like, and to tell me, this is exactly how I told him, tell me to ask Holy Spirit for help. I was like, because I need help. And he'll see it at 2. And I'm like, I'm so stubborn. I'm like, no, I'm not frustrated. I'm not angry. I was like, but he's feeling it.
Yeah.
He knows that it's getting there and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but then also that part of forgiveness that you said, it's exactly what Matthew chapter 6 says, where it says that if you forgive, your heavenly Father will forgive you. But if you don't, he won't. And we're so quick to just read over that and be like, yeah, I forgive. But like you said, only you really know. You and the Lord will know whether you've forgiven. And definitely I've seen it as steps and in moments of like, so I would say like this: if someone is in the process of forgiveness right now and you're choosing to say right now, I forgive you, celebrate that moment. Because there might be another moment where like, okay, I have to forgive more. Like there's still more. And that's and that also depends. It could be of like how severe the harm that was done, you know, because of what you said. Reminded me of this is like that to some extent, you know, and if we have more professional therapists or people in the audience listening, would be to some extent that disassociation at a young age is almost like a gift, because if a kid were to see and really have an understanding of what's really happening in their reality, in their world, it would destroy them. Like if they actually saw that. But and what I'm picking up from what you're saying is that you have a gift that some of us didn't, and it's the fact that you have no arms, no legs, actually brought you to those thoughts quicker, brought you to those thoughts of the inner wrestle. Because like you said, you're not any different than others, other than having no arms and legs. You're not any different. That's it. Like as your caregiver, I remember there was moments where I had to feed you and I forgot.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, like feed me, and I'm like, I forget. I was like, and that's how normal it is. Like it's not even a thing anymore in my mind. It's like, but it's that idea of like you got there quicker, and to me that's the gift, that you had those wrestles earlier on, which is why when you were in your 19s and your 20s, it's like you were able to help people, because it was then that some of those troubles started hitting them, you know, like hitting us, and like, oh, like this guy's already gone through it, like, and so to me that's the gift right there. It's that you were put in a position by God's grace to have those wrestles earlier, and you helped other brothers and sisters out of it when it hit them, you know, because to your point, I won't say who, but there's someone dear to me who went through sexual abuse in their teenage years. And it wasn't until years later that they finally had the moment, and I will call it the invitation to finally start talking about it. And that was so helpful for them, because they were now in a place in safety of, I have people around me who love me, who I trust, and I can actually bring this to the light.
Right.
But like I said, the reality of them actually knowing what happened to them when it happened would have destroyed them.
Right.
But years down the road, almost 10 years down the road, they're now in a place where, hey, I can talk about this now. Yeah. And so it's so helpful. But thank you so much for saying all that. Do you have another thought you want to?
I have 3. It's really important. So first and foremost, if you know that you're actually hurting somebody, stop.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm telling you, 10% of American schools have some students in each of these 10% of the schools, approximately, that are actually coercing human trafficking. They're actually speaking to your daughter and your son, and they'll never brand it as trafficking or abuse or whatever. It's just something that they do. And so that whole thing of check what you're doing and ask the Lord for grace to stop, and ask for forgiveness, And whatever that cost is, no one deserves to have pain. No one deserves to be treated less valuable than another. And no one's more valuable than another. Number one. Number two, ask the Lord if there is some unforgiveness in your heart. Maybe you need to write out a letter eventually to the person that would never read it. But remind that person in the letter what they did to you, how that made you feel. But let them know that no longer will the past hold you back to what God has for you. You don't ever have to become friends with these people. But forgiveness is very important. We're different as Christians. We're told to actually pray for our enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you have different religions and you haven't actually read your Holy Scripture. You actually haven't. You're just this religion because of your tradition, your culture, your family, but you haven't read the Holy Scripture. Well, in our Holy Scripture, it's very different. We are to pray for our enemy, that the devil would open up their eyes to their evil and bind their deeds of evil doing and then come to salvation and redemption themselves. And so we need to know what we believe and why we need to believe it and live it out to have this healing. What we're talking about is healing really deep down. And then lastly, that verse is, it's not that God said, hey, I'm going to give you a fantastic plan. I'm going to make sure that you're born without limbs. No, the Bible says that because of the curse of man, the sin, Adam and Eve, we were born with sickness, disease, death, disabilities. But what the enemy tried to use for bad, God can turn into good. And I love Romans 8:28. All things come together for the good for those who love him, who've been called according to his purposes. And so you're right. I actually feel sorry for the 72-year-old man watching who cruised through life, never gone through something difficult enough perhaps to contemplate these bigger questions of life, to then come to the revelation of, why am I here? What's the purpose of life? Sooner. And then, some people that we need to ask for forgiveness from as well, and forgive along the way. And so it's a lot in this one. A lot of other things we could talk about in this, but that's that portion. I think that's a very big, I think 4 things in this quadrant of what this looks like.
So good. Well, there you have it. I mean, if that didn't stir something in your heart, I honestly don't know what will, because that was so profound, so much in there.
Praise God.
And then also, so here's, I've, just so you know, I did that practical thing on my own years ago. I wrote a letter to my dad. I never read it to him, never gave it to him. It was for me to write out just my phrases and context of forgiveness, of moments of growing up. And it was so helpful. It was so helpful to my heart and healing. But also, another homework I want to suggest to you, if you want to take it, is that you would take a journal or on your phone, you'd write one area of your life that you're longing for to have resilience. And just, I would say start there. That also just helps remove some anxiety. You just tackle one area at a time rather than trying to tackle everything at a time. But also, if you want to go deeper into this, Nick, a few months ago, released the Resilient Mind course, where he goes into these things more in depth, 10 areas.
And practical, very practical.
Very practical, and it goes deep. He has more of his stories in there as well. And so you're not alone. There are tools out there, there are resources out there, and whether it's this podcast, whether you go into the course, and the link is going to be in the description for those of you who are interested. But also put in the comments, what is that area that you're looking for resistance? I think that we can get our team around us and to reply, to comment, to pray for you. But again, if you haven't yet, follow, subscribe, and we would love to have you as we go deeper into more of these types of topics. Again, Nick, thank you so much for that. And we love everybody, and we will see you on the next one.
And I just want to tell you, I love you. Thank you, Gus, for being the co-host. And as well, comment. I'd like to know what's your favorite verse or what's your favorite thought
Yeah.
about how you keep yourself resilient as well. Yeah. All right. Peace out. Love you. Bye.